Uh, got it.
Good. Okay. All right. John, man, we are off and running, so thanks for making this happen.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
I got a couple questions for you. We're gonna dive into some interesting topics, but first of all, I'm up in Washington State. Where are you?
I am in eastern Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Poconos, halfway between the Poconos and Allentown.
Eastern PA. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that anywhere near where Scranton and Dunder Mifflin?
about 45 minutes or an hour. Yeah, yeah,
Did that just put like Scranton on the map or what?
it did. It really did. Yes.
Just that's something about it's just a tourist destination for people
Yeah.
that are psychotically involved in that show.
As a matter of fact, there was a big thing. I think yesterday or today or sometime this week was the anniversary I saw. So they're having some sort of big shenanigans up there, I think.
Oh man, that's fantastic. Okay, well, man, you've been with Linchpin for a long time, and I've been looking forward to talking to you for a couple of reasons. One of them is, you've got some fascinating medical stuff going on, but that pales in comparison to the fact that people think that you like burpees. Is that true?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. And there's a story behind it, actually.
Why do you love
Um,
burpees?
it was it was 11 years ago after my first heart surgery. Um, I met up with a friend from work, and the workout was it was a 30 burpee buy-in, and then dumbbell squats and dumbbell push presses, and I only got 18 burpees into it. And if I it was a 12-minute AMRAP. If I would have done all 30 burpees, it would have taken me 12 minutes.
Mm,
It would have been 12 minutes of burpees. It was that day that I thought, no, this can't I'm not going to let burpees beat me like this anymore.
unacceptable.
Yeah, and it just started. And after so much, you grow to appreciate them. They're there for you.
They're a beautiful do them anywhere, movement. I'll go ahead and give it that. There's always a place to do burpees.
Yeah. If you have a floor, you can do burpees.
Man, I was watching, as happens every now and then. I got lost on some crazy show and it was like, world's toughest prisons or something like that, and they've got like these burpee monsters in prison that just do tons and tons of burpees.
Yeah.
And there was some Latin gang in one of these prisons, and I can't remember what it was. I'm gonna mess it up a little bit, but not by much. They were saying how like you got to be ready to fight every day. So this particular gang, like you were required to work out like 90 minutes to 2 hours every day to be in the gang. That was required. So it was nice that they had a physical fitness component.
Yeah.
But their warm up for the 90-minute workout, every single day their warm up was the same. It was like 300 burpees. Every single day was the warm up for the 90 minutes of working out.
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna mess with them. I
I
wouldn't wanna
mean,
mess
if
with
that
them.
just becomes like you now no longer bat an eye at these 300 burpees, it's just such a part of your routine. You are an animal.
Yeah.
I mean, call it what you will. I was like, okay, Roger that. So we'll get down the medical road for a second, but what do you do for a living?
I work and the last time I worked was 6 months ago. I work in the admissions department for a children's psychiatric hospital.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing that down. What I find that so fascinating, and I don't know how much you can or can't talk about that, but like those institutions, what they're more and more rare every year that goes by. Isn't
Yeah.
that true?
Yes, yeah.
And it seems to me, just from a casual observer, not dipping my toe in that water, that there seems to be, um, I think it's safe to say, a mental health crisis going on in our country, or plenty of people that seem to be suffering from some sort of mental affliction that could use treatment, a facility, some sort of
Yes.
home or whatnot.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that, and what's been your, I guess, just takeaways? Because it's a very unique occupation where you get to see a slice of society that most people do not.
I've been doing it. It's gonna be I've been at the I started in 2000, summer of 2000,
Oh, wow.
and worked my way up from, direct care to an office job pretty much. Um, in the admissions department, I've been there maybe 10 years coming up.
Okay.
Um, you see a lot of there's a lot of things that you repress, you know what I mean? You hear stories that you just don't want to hear.
Mm,
Um, some cases, a lot of cases, it's unfortunately some kid that got their first C on a test after, you know,
no kidding.
junior year and they get a C. Stuff like that happens a lot, but there are unfortunately a lot of intense things that are just they're terrible. You know what I mean?
Man, and we don't need to go down that path too
Yeah.
much. And I don't want to overshare on my side of the house as well, but I will say I have a unique interest in this area because of it does affect my family actually in a very direct way that, I don't obviously speak about.
Yeah.
But you said you were also in direct care for a while.
Yes. About
That seems to
yeah.
me to be like such a challenging deal because maybe I mean, mental illness is a big umbrella, right? And
Yes.
it seems from my very limited experience that um, a lot of the treatment, depending upon what maybe the mental illness happens to be, is almost like trial and error, right? I mean, like how much we do or don't understand
Yeah.
about the human brain and why it's firing a particular way.
Yes.
My limited experiences be like, well, we've got a sense of what your symptoms might be. We're going to try this pharmaceutical intervention for a while, and then we'll just wait and see if it's better, same, or worse. If it's
Yep.
worse, we'll stop. If it's better, we keep it. Like, and then it's this huge trial and error deal because, like, why is the brain not functioning properly? Who knows?
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
It really is. Yes. Yeah. And in a lot of cases, medications, you get used to them
Mm,
until you have to try something new. You know what I mean? You build up
yes.
a tolerance.
And the place that you're at, is it maybe it's different because it's for children, but is it voluntary? Can the people leave? Is it just, a short time that they spend there?
It is, yes. Um, in most cases, the parents sign the children in, but there are a lot of times when, in Pennsylvania, the age of I don't want to call it the age of consent. I don't know. I
I
can't.
get what you're trying to say though.
Yeah, if you're
Decision
14 years
making or
old,
whatever.
you can make your own medical decisions.
Mm,
So 14 and
gotcha.
above can sign themselves in. Yes.
Okay, interesting. And that, I mean, I would think to some degree, I interview a lot of different people that have everything from light, fluffy jobs to jobs that are not light and fluffy. And I would say yours is not light and fluffy. I just posted every Tuesday, as we record this, it's a Tuesday, and every Tuesday I post a new Linchpin member interview. And I just posted one today with a Linchpin member named David, who's been a police officer forever, which is another like heavy job.
Yeah.
I'm always interested when people have these heavy jobs. Man, are you just built different and you can take that stuff home and compartmentalize it, or do you have to do something to decompress, or like what's the deal?
I've been doing it so long that I just don't think about it anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I walk out, I get in my Jeep, and I put the radio on, and 15 minutes I'm home, and saying hi to my kids, and you know, going about the rest of the night.
I would have to also think it gives you a deep appreciation for like the father that you want to be to your kids or the
Yeah,
environment that you want to raise them in because you've
yeah,
seen the opposite.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Unbelievable. Hey, after a hard day, 100 burpees,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
let a little bit of that steam off. But let's circle back to, again, you've been in Lynchpin forever. You're active in the Facebook group. People enjoy interacting with you. There's a hint of sarcasm in your post. Sometimes it's not a hint, and it's absolutely wonderful. As a cynical New Englander myself, It's great. There's not a lot of sarcasm out here on the West Coast. And so
That's
it
unfortunate.
brings me back to the East Coast vibe. Uh, but what you said that, long story short, your freshman year of high school, you found out that you had something going on. Well, what was that?
I went out for it was the physical for track um,
Hmm.
my freshman year. They came in, doctor listened to my heart, said, "You have a murmur. Go to your uh, primary care physician. I'm not going to sign off on anything." And we're like, "Okay, cool, fine." Primary care physician listens to me and he's like, "Oh, wow, this sounds like something." Sends me to a cardiologist um, who put me through stress tests and everything. Eventually, halfway through the season, I was cleared to run. Um, but that's pretty much when it all started. That's when I found out about it.
And so you found out about it, and what did that mean? Did you have to pause what you were doing, or did you just, or could you continue on with a quote unquote normal life if you did certain things to, or had to avoid certain activities? Like, what was it like?
They really didn't tell me, and I don't remember, this was so long ago. I don't believe they told me to avoid anything. They said no strenuous exercise at the time until the stress tests, but after I was cleared, that it was fine. Um,
Okay, so then back to track.
yeah, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. There was really no restrictions after that, and I was as active as you could be as a teenager. You know what I mean?
And again, it's been a long time ago, but I guess if you're cleared and you're back to track, maybe the thought is, oh, I had something going on, but it's gone and we're all good.
Actually, what they did tell me was that um, after echocardiograms were sonogram in the chest, pretty much, um, they said there was a tricuspid valve that was bicuspid, so it was, you know, leaky.
Okay, so
Not
try
it
main
wasn't
three,
closing
by
all the
main
way,
two.
and it wasn't, efficient as a normal heart. Um,
Okay.
at the time, they did say the valve would need to be replaced. They said, "We're not gonna, we're gonna wait on this as long as we can because technology is gonna improve." Thinking, and this was in 89 or 90, 89. So they were probably thinking we were gonna have Jetsons technology.
I was gonna say we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Thought
but
they'd have some, robot going in there knocking it out in 10 minutes.
yeah, exactly. But, as a teenager, it didn't stop me I barely thought of it, honestly.
So the longer you can wait, the better. Technology will improve, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
You keep running
yes,
and keep moving forward with life,
yeah.
and you eventually find your way into a CrossFit gym.
I did. It was with the coworker that I had told you about. Funny enough, they were doing a burpee fundraiser. He's like, "Come on, you could do burpees. You don't, And I was just a scrawny runner at the time.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll come with you.
How old were you? Do you remember this when you
I
first?
was late 30s, 38, 39, 37.
So you did, I mean, just live a normal life, so to speak, for
Yes,
quite some time, going from high school to
absolutely.
now then being 38. Wow, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And so you walk into the gym, you're knocking out some burpees, and then is it all just, sunshine and rainbows?
Actually, no. Well, yes, it was, as a matter of fact. I didn't get full on into it until after my first surgery, um, when I was just looking for something else to do. You know what I mean?
What led to, so you make it into your late 30s now, you dabbled in this CrossFit gym, we haven't heard much since high school. Now what leads to your quote unquote first surgery?
I was, I picked up a bacterial infection. We don't know where it came from. And I was sick for a good 3 weeks with what I thought was a bad cold or the flu. But for about 3 weeks, I had a bacteria growing on the inside of my heart on the bad valve.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Okay.
March 6th, March 6th, 2014. Three pieces broke off and smashed into my brain, causing three strokes.
Causing three strokes at the same time?
No, one was like 6:30-ish in the morning. I had just carried my daughter down. She was 6 months old. I had carried her down the steps and was making a bottle for her. The second one was somewhere in between that, and I think the third was around 8:30. Uh,
Three strokes within a couple of hours.
yes, yeah. Fortunately, I got lucky. I got real lucky because they didn't do
Holy, I mean,
anything.
while you're carrying your daughter of all things.
Yeah. Actually, I just put her down.
Yeah,
I just put her
still. I
down.
mean, come on.
If
Caring
I
for her.
if I had hit the snooze button, it would have been worse. It would have been a lot worse. Um, but yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm
What?
really fortunate.
Okay, so as I always do in these interviews, I'm about to ask a series of ignorant questions that are potentially, hopefully not offensive, because I just don't know.
Nah, that's fine.
For those of us that haven't had a stroke, like, what did you feel? What is it like? How in the world do you have three in 2 hours? What's going on?
The first one was the worst. I can't even describe it. Yeah, I can't even. I knew something was happening. Um, and I was making my daughter's bottle in the kitchen, and I hobbled maybe 10 yards to where I am right now on the couch. Um, and eventually it passed. And I thought, wow, that was weird. Fed my daughter.
I mean, was it the world's worst headache? Was your body incapacitated? Was it cloudy judgment? Like, what did you
it
feel?
was, there was, it was weakness. There was
Mm,
weakness. I was very unsteady on my feet. It did not feel good, but listen, I don't wish it on anybody. Uh, it did not feel good. It was
hmm.
absolutely the worst thing that I've ever been through, guaranteed. Um,
Do you have a sense of, you said it passed. Are we talking 1 minute or 28 minutes or like,
5 or 6, honestly.
and then
Yeah.
you're up off the couch going, wow, what in the world was
Yep.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you wander back in and you keep the bottle going.
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, fed my daughter, put her down. The second one came. It wasn't as bad, and I thought, "Gee, this is weird." Um, and then about an hour later, after the third one, I thought, "Okay, something is really wrong here. I got to go to the hospital,"
Mm,
and I
thank
made the
goodness.
arrangements.
And were they, because I hear crazy stuff from people that I interview sometimes,
Yeah,
they go there and they find what it was right away, or they do a scan, they're like, not quite sure what happened, have some Tylenol and go home. What happened when you went to the hospital?
I honestly thought I would be home by the afternoon, to pick up my oldest daughter from school. I wasn't.
You
They
were not.
really it took them, um I went in, I told them my history, I told them my heart issues, I told them that I haven't been feeling well for the past few weeks, um, and they immediately started looking into the heart, you
Mm.
know? So they found it pretty quick. After CAT scans and stuff, they found the holes in my brain pretty much, um, and they put everything together. But it was a good 5 or 6 days maybe 3 or 4 days in the hospital before, you know, they had everything settled to where they could have, you know, a treatment plan going forward.
Again, with my series of ignorant questions, what do you mean holes in your brain?
From the strokes where
Is that what it literally causes holes in the brain?
there are, I don't know if it's a hole from the pictures I saw, and I have some. I don't know if I could post them,
Sure,
uh,
sure.
but I'll send them to you. I have the pictures, and I don't know if it's a hole. I don't know if it's a crater, but you could see, brain, and then there's, like that, where there's nothing there.
Does I don't know. Does that like is there a hole, like no pun intended, for lack of a better way to say it, in memory or ability or cognitive function or whatnot, or is it just you get those holes and everything, as far as you can tell, is still functioning cool?
From the neurologist said I got lucky. and it's a part of my brain that I don't use or that we don't use, so
Extra brain.
yes, I guess. Maybe it's just a part, if you ask somebody that knows me pretty well, they're gonna say you don't use a lot of it, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
'Cause oh, that is okay. So you're in the hospital for 5 or 6 days. You know, you come back home. What happens?
Well, that first hospital stay, that was my first surgery. They
Okay.
went in and they replaced the mitral and aortic valves. The mitral valve had a bunch of gross stuff hanging off of it. Um, and I
And
guess
would
the
this just be under the umbrella term of open heart surgery?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yes. Yeah. Um,
So this is open heart surgery number one.
yes. They replaced the 2 valves, uh, sent me home. I was on antibiotics for a good month after that.
What, yeah, when you have something like that, I mean, did they stitch you back up and on debrief, they're like, we saw what it was, we got it, we took care of it, enjoy the rest of your life? Or is it, we will see you again, sir?
They very much told me they would see me again. Because of the strokes, they were not if they okay, there were 2 categories of valves. Um, Tissue valves, cow, pig, cadaver, stuff like that, and mechanical valves. If you're on mechanical valves, you need to be on blood thinners for the rest of your life. Um, because of the strokes, they did not want to put mechanical valves in me because they were afraid of I don't know what they were. I don't know what kind of
Sure. We'll trust the doctors on this one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they were saying, we don't want you on blood thinners now because of the strokes." Like, okay. So they gave me, cow tissue valves, which
Okay.
I was fine with. But at the time, they said, you know, "These will wear out. The shelf life on them is 10 to 15 years." And, they were right. They were
Mm.
right. Um,
And how many kids do you have?
3.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and lay this out. You have a very stressful, potentially depressing, heavy job.
Yeah.
You're raising 3 children,
Yes.
and you've had holes in your brain, strokes, and open heart surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how how are you just putting on a smile every day, but it's forced, or are you just trudging along? You've got no choice. You got no choice, so you just keep getting up and doing what you got to do. Like, how are you shouldering this load?
These are the cards I was dealt, you know what I mean? This is, the kids were by choice. I can't complain about them. I can complain about them, but
Right.
really it all rolls back to me. Um,
Oh,
and
I mean, that's,
I've had 35, 40 years to come to terms with the fact that I would eventually need heart surgery. So,
mm. And during this, like once you're, not bedridden and you're back on your feet, are you trying to make like good nutritional decisions? Are you staying a little bit active, or are you like, I'm now like scared to use my heart. I'm not going to do much at all.
I was I was, there are pictures of me. I don't, you've had medical issues. You've had your, falling off motorcycles and crazy stuff like
Hmm.
that. I couldn't deal with just sitting in a hospital bed. There are pictures of me, doing downward dog before my first surgery 11 years ago in 2014, just because I couldn't take it. So when I got out of the hospital, as soon as I was cleared to be active, I was out the door.
Okay.
I was out the door running. I was doing whatever I could just to keep moving. Um, at that time, I had, all the research said that the healthiest uh, diet for the heart was plant based. So I cut out all the meat, I cut out the cheese. So I started doing as much as I could right.
And how is that? Do you have any just even if it's just anecdotal data, your own data on that, does that seem to have given you the payoff that you want, or who knows?
I I don't feel bad, so yes.
Okay,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
And they said, been nice having you here at the hospital. We'll see you in 10 to 15 years, and they weren't lying.
That is correct, absolutely, yes.
So
Yeah.
what was what caused the next visit to your local medical professional?
Um, Worst Thanksgiving ever, 6 months ago. I We usually spend Thanksgiving at my parents' out near Pittsburgh. Um,
Hmm.
I caught COVID and pneumonia at the same time. Uh, the day
Oh,
after
my friend.
Thanksgiving.
Good grief.
Yeah, I know. The day after Thanksgiving, um, I went to the ER. They hospitalized me for 5 or 6 days. Uh, Everything cleared up, and, they sent me home. Um, Drive across the state, come back here. About 2 weeks later, pretty much the same thing happened. My lungs started filling up with fluid, went back to the hospital. It was then they found out that it was a little bit of heart failure, just a little bit of heart failure.
Just a pinch, just like a little bit of brain hold,
Yes.
just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I was in the hospital from the week before Christmas to New Year's Eve. So, worst Christmas ever. Um, but it was during, and I was pretty bad during that. Like, they were I had a big garden hose attached to my face that they were putting 10 liters of oxygen through. I was pretty bad. Um, but I pulled through. The surgeon said, "Hey, guess what? It's going to be time to get those things out." Um, and there was a big my surgeon that's been following me for a few years, and the cardiologist on the floor were disagreeing on when the surgery would be. Uh,
Perfect.
Yeah. The surgeon wanted my lungs to clear up. He said, "I want you out of the hospital. I want you as strong as you could be before we do this, because if we do it now, you're probably going to be on a ventilator for a week or two or however long." And I'm like, "Sure." And at the time, I just wanted to get it over with. I wanted to start feeling
Mhm.
better. But again, you got to trust the doctors. And I'll tell you what, that man, he was never wrong.
Oh, good. Okay.
He was all through, this ordeal, he was never wrong. But New Year's Eve, they discharged me, come home for 3 weeks. On the 30th, I was home for a month. On the 31st, I had my surgery. They opened me up, and, you know, it was he described it as very much an oh crap moment. Um, when they went in, he thought he was just going to have to do two valves. He said it was a mess. He says he was surprised that I made it
Oh,
to the
wow.
operating
No
table. Yeah.
kidding.
No. Yeah. 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 Um, when
Mm.
they opened me up, they gave me a mechanical mitral valve, a mechanical aortic valve. They repaired another valve. I'm not sure what they did to it. And there was my aorta was starting to enlarge, so they took that out and gave me a synthetic aorta.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And they stitch you back up and they're happy with the work that they did?
Y- yes, they were. That
Was there another see you in 10 years, or what did this debrief sound
this
like?
is this was If they see me again, something has gone really wrong.
Okay.
This is the final. This is the big fix. You know what I mean?
Okay.
This is
Okay.
the big fix. So
And does this put you on the blood thinners now?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And so this surgery you said happened in January?
January 31st. So 2 months ago.
And stupid question, but how are you feeling?
Pretty good, real good, as a matter of fact.
Oh, really?
Real good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was their parting thoughts, your marching orders, your limitations? What does recovery look like?
Um, as far the f- pretty much pretty much all they said is, there okay, there are a lot of, I don't want to say restrictions with the blood thinners, but there are a lot of dietary, you know, vitamin K interacts with the blood thinner and makes it less useful, if
Mm,
you will.
okay.
So they said, don't stay away from the dark green vegetables, don't stay away from the broccoli, the spinach. But if you eat them, you need to be very consistent with it and eat the same amounts every week. You know what I mean? Which is,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, which is 100% fine with me.
Okay.
Um, and and pretty much after that, it was, with the blood thinners. They also said if you bump your head, you got to go to the ER. You know, there's a chance that if you could, I don't want to say bleed out, but if you cut yourself shaving, you're going
Mm,
to be there
hmm.
a while dealing with that. Um, but other than that, they said no lifting over 10 pounds. That's pretty much it, you know,
For how long?
for 10 weeks. So
Okay.
we're at week
Have
8
you
now.
been listening?
I have, yes. Um, yes, as a matter of fact, I have. I bought, I have 2 5-pound dumbbells that I bought for my kids a while ago, and I ordered 10-pound dumbbells, which I haven't broke out yet because, scaling is awesome, um,
Hmm.
that I'm gonna be using. At my surgical follow-up, they said, "If you accidentally lift 15 pounds, uh, that's fine, no big deal." I have a 15-pound kettlebell. I picked it up a few times, tried some swings. It wasn't the best idea, but it didn't, it
Right.
didn't s it didn't send me back to the hospital, so it's okay.
And when so your 10 weeks will be up for too long.
2 weeks, 2 more weeks.
Okay, 2 more
April
weeks.
April 10th, 11th, somewhere around there, yeah.
I mean, so I'm gonna just assume, you know, now maybe closing it out here with fitness, it sounds like you deeply understand why eating well and trying to be as fit as possible is going to be your best friend. You know,
Absolutely, yeah,
you're
yeah.
dealt a certain hand of cards, which you can't control those hand, but you can try to solidify your position as much as possible and try to keep from drawing any more bad cards.
Yes.
Um, is it safe to say you're just a master of scaling and modifying?
Yes, I am, yeah. Um, just because I have no room for, I have a few sets of dumbbells. I have a floor. You really
Hmm.
jump rope, you really don't need anymore.
Yeah, true. So you just kind of, once you get back on your feet, you're kind of cleared hot. You'll look at the workout of the day, maybe watch the video and say, okay, gotcha. I'm going to do it this way. Are there any things that are going to be just flat out off the table for you?
I don't know yet,
Mm.
honestly. Um, I don't know. Well, I'll find out when I find out.
TBD.
Yep.
Is there anyone in the Linchpin private Facebook group that you enjoy harassing more than anyone else?
No, I think equally. I think it's all equal. You know what I mean?
Oh man, what I mean, my friend, you've got so much on your plate. How old are your kids now?
My oldest is 18. She's going to graduate high school in a couple months. Um,
Wow.
my middle kid is 11. She is in 6th grade. And my youngest, my son, is 8 in 2nd grade. So they're
Okay.
spread out.
Do they have any, maybe the oldest does, any like comprehension of what's you've truly been through?
My oldest does. My oldest does because she was there for both of them.
Mm,
My Juliet, my middle kid, was 6 months old during my first surgery. I
right.
told her, I said, "Listen, you don't remember my first surgery, so I'm gonna have another one so you can remember it."
Oh, making memories with the kids.
Yeah, and my son Matthew is kind of upset that my chest doesn't glow like Iron Man, so
Hey, you know what? That's fair. At that
yeah.
age, that's a fair request. Man, well, let me ask you this maybe just at the end here. I mean, first of all, I mean, I would have preferred that you didn't have to go through any of this. That would have been my preference. However, it is what it is, right? And so now you might be a pretty good reference point. People might send this video to somebody else who's dealt with something. And I know that you're not a medical professional. You can't give medical advice, like whatever disclaimers we have to give in 2025 on the internet. But you've got plenty of things that have come your way that had you stopped working out. And I'm just going to try to eat healthy and I'm not going to work out though. Nobody could have batted an eye at you. I mean, we've had multiple open heart surgeries. Of course, this guy doesn't push himself. Why would he? He's not crazy. But you're doing quite the opposite. So, if you've got if there are people watching this who have whatever they have, going on, what would be your advice or recommendation to somebody who has had some trouble in the past, is looking to live a healthy life, is dealing with a lot of stuff? Like, just what have you learned through this whole ideal about fitness and longevity?
There's really no excuse not to try, you know what I mean? Um, in I don't know if it was you that said something like this, but, consistency, keep going out there you know, if you don't have time, do something short, or if you can't do anything, do something small, or if your legs don't work, do do bicep curls, do something, but always, always try to do something.
100%, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody might not be dealing with what you're dealing with. They might have time constraints due to work, due to family, due to travel, due to whatever it is, or they don't have a lot of budget, they don't have a lot of room. Like, if you're creative, and first off, you don't know, you don't know. Like, so you don't even know what exists there. Gotcha. But with a little bit of digging, you can find out that you don't need a lot of gear, that you don't need a lot of time, that you don't need a lot of what everything, and that removes a lot of excuses. The burpee takes, no
Yeah.
funding whatsoever. And even here, as I stand at my desk, with three kids and stuff happens, every now and then I get screwed for time. And just right here, next to my desk is the old trusty 35-pound
Oh,
dumbbell.
nice.
Um, just one. I just keep one there. The 50 is too much for me to grab with zero warrant, but I can grab the 35 and do some stuff if just, things get that busy. Like you
Yeah.
can do a lot with I just one 35-pound dumbbell and a little bit of the floor. I can get a lot done right there. Like there's where there's a will, there's a way, 100%. So, man, John, holy cow. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you being so open and honest about your story.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
And thank you for being a bright light of warmth and optimism in the Facebook group.
No problem.
Like I said, every time I see one of your posts, I'm like, this guy, before you met him, like, this guy's got to be on the East Coast of the US. He's just got to be. There's just no way around it. Oh, that makes me so happy. Well, man, wish you the best. Again, thanks for being truly a part of actually what makes Lynchman special. Like all joking aside, you really are, and hopefully people can glean some things from your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity too.
Of course, man. We'll have fun out there in Dunder Mifflin land.
You bet.
All right, later.
Thanks.